I am Yamato Cannon, and this is Muffin, and you're watching Thorin's YouTube channel.
Right, I'm here for another episode of Talk to Thorin, and my guest for this one is going to be Crownshot. Bad news if you appear on one of these episodes during the off-season, because chances are all your offers are fucked, and now we're here to explain why and hope someone can still turn shit around. Listen, I'm just saying, look at the trend, like Leader, now we've got Crownshot. Who knows, maybe Febivint's next. Hit me up, Febby. Call me, bro. Hit the line. No, so Crownshot, like I say, we're not meeting under the best of circumstances. This isn't some like fun talk show where we're just going to banter about shit. Like, things have gone bad because, let's be real, the last few years, I think split by split, your reputation's gotten better and better and better. Like, especially when Selfmade left, most people shifted the focus like you were the best player in the team. Things were going well. So most people would think, if they don't know the way the industry works and how deals in the off-season go, they would think, right, Crownshot at a minimum could at least stay in like a team like SK or be in one of the teams that's like borderline playoffs. And who knows, maybe one of the bigger teams. I mean, listen, Fnatic needed an AD carry. Maybe he even gets a chance to go to a bigger team like Selfmade did last year. What were you thinking coming into this offseason? Were you thinking something similar, like you can get an even bigger, a better team potentially?
I mean, yeah, I felt like the split I showed, and under the circumstances I showed it on, I felt like it was time to, move on to like a different team, a team that could contend for higher placement, and it didn't work out. But I'm still confident in myself for sure that I'm capable of doing that. Yeah.
Right, when it came to the off-season, you weren't in the leader position where I've heard, like, maybe like one or two teams talk to him, but even then, they're like, nothing was like really going to happen. And his real problem is he just kind of got ignored. In your case, you basically implied it. Like, you had teams you were talking to, but tell us what you can say. Why aren't you in one of these teams, basically?
No, I mean, I guess they decided to go with other options or other lineups that didn't include me. I also did have like an offer from SK to resign in October, but that was, I obviously wanted to test free agency, and the full roster wasn't known back then, so I just felt like it was time after 2 years to test the waters, so to speak, and bet on myself, and that's what I did. So yeah, I guess teams just decided to go with other lineups. Obviously, I don't agree with it, right? But I have to respect their choices.
When you say that, like you wanted to test the waters and crucially you didn't know the lineup, like you kind of imply in there, the main problem is, yeah, you could sign with SK again, but you don't want to be stuck in the position where, like, barely making playoffs is success, or maybe you don't make presumably that's the problem. Like you want to advance your career. Yeah,
I mean, exactly. I remember in spring when we were in 9th place, I was just thinking, there's no way there's no way that this is all I can do, right? Like, I'm not going to be 9th place. I saw my friends are in finals and winning MSI and doing this, right? That they're like, I just felt extremely bad. And that's why I decided to, like, I really did give it my all in summer to, be played around. And because there's also like, this is a myth or like a rumor that I read that I can't play any other style than being...
I think you're like the forgiven, basically.
Yeah, like,
right.
But if you follow my career from if you think 2018 Mad Lions, the ones we won new Masters with and stuff, were a team that played around bot lane, you're just clueless, right? And even if you think 2019 SK was that team, especially in spring, it's also wrong, because Selfmade used to play quite heavily around top, and my most played champion was Ezreal all those years. And I mean, of course, you could play him like very heavily for him, but that's not really his main, the way you play him. And this was just the way I started playing now. Because, for example, in spring, summer, me and Limit had very good laning stats, and we had a Trick spend the most bot lane out of any jungler. But it wasn't. I was like, okay, guys, we play this way, or I'm not playing, or like I refuse to play any other way. We tried other ways. We couldn't make it work, because in summer we did change mid and top, if you count mid rostering to top, right? So let's say we have 2 new players, just our role swap and a rookie. So we tested. We saw that other ways don't work, and I'm not gonna be like, okay, let's play standard like every other team, or let's do this, and then I'm gonna be AF7. I did, of course, I was taking a lot of resources. I know that it's obvious, like the stats speak for themselves, but still, It is also true that I did end up getting caught some games and being the reason we or like being obviously if all the pressure is on me, I did end up making mistakes for sure. I think I remember a few games. There was one against Misfits and one against Fnatic where I died on mid lane against Reckless Syndra, and then of course there were some games, right? But I was still the one that was, if you checked, I was still the one that always had a lead in every game against teams, right, where my team was behind. Obviously that's a byproduct of my team playing for me, but
Sure.
you can't play for something that it's not already there.
You gotta still be
so to
good.
speak,
Yeah,
I
of
guess.
course.
Yeah, like we also felt like that was the best way to unlock Limit. He was at his best it was like end of spring where we just started playing Varus Thresh, where we got the 2 victories the last week. We just split map every game and just played for bot lane, and Trick and Limit would play together on the map, and Limit was also like enabled that way. So it was like just a natural development, right? Even on Zazia was most comfortable on control mages, which were meta in summer, like Orianna, Azir, stuff like that. So Syndra. So it was just a pretty much a natural development to what fit us the best, I guess. But for sure, I can play other styles.
Now, when you go and you talk about these other offers, potentially for better teams, bigger orgs, like one thing someone's going to think is, well, is that also like you don't just want to be a better team? Maybe you want to get paid way better. Did you want a huge salary? Did they have to meet a certain level, or you weren't going to take the offer?
No, I mean that wasn't an issue, because I responded to a tweet where someone said that what is more likely that like 20 managers are blind or one player is greedy, but that's not even true. Like it's just not true. There was never a salary concern. I just wanted to play in a top team. That's all. In the end, winning is still what I want the most, because I haven't played in LEC or LCS finals, right?
Yes.
Or anything like that. In the end, money is not the number one goal for me. I just want to compete at the highest level. So.
Right, obviously, just because of the circumstances, you're not going to say the team names, but were
Sure.
some of these teams in LCS? Was it just LEC offers?
No, it was actually more LCS teams interested in LEC.
Okay.
I guess in the end, yeah. But then they just decided to go for different lineups, which is in the end I can't mind control GMs or whatever how to think, but I think I did show I have I guess in NA, especially with the Oceanic rule, right? It did bring a lot of Oceanic AD carries, and teams did decide to import different roles, which I can understand, but in the end I can't really affect that. I still feel I would bet on myself again, right? Like I told myself that I want to be on a team that I feel like can contend among the best, and yeah, that's my goal. I'm still confident in myself that I'm a top tier AD carry, for sure. So.
Right, when you said there, I mean, you obviously volunteered it yourself. Like, look, I don't have to play this style. It's not like you have to build the whole team around me, etc. Right, when you say that, is that because you're worried that's like a perception people have? Like, put it this way. One of the reasons, like I said, I thought you would get a good offer is, to me, like, listen, Selfmade was like exceptionally good even when he was like a rookie. Like, you could just tell that guy was really good. But I also thought, like, as an AD carry, like, you looked like in gradual improvement, split on split. So, similarly, I thought some of the top teams would take a gamble. Like, listen, instead of just trying to get a rookie out of an LFL or something like that, like, you have experience, like, you can actually potentially step up to their level already. Do you think that the other teams, they have a different perception? They don't think you're as good as you are?
I think there's there's the narrative, or like the idea that the AD carry is the most like stacked role in you, or like I also think the meta that was played this past year, or maybe it's just the meta that the game is moving towards in terms of AD carry. It's hard to see huge differences in player skill on this role. I mean, for example, when the meta in Worlds was Senna, Ashe, and it was Senna, Ashe, and one more Ezreal, I guess. Those three were most played. It's hard to see when somebody is playing at a 100 or like a 95, and when someone else is playing at lower. If his only job is to play Senna and ult and Q his teammates. But when the meta was more For example, in the past years, it was much more diversified. You could see differences better, I would say. But I mean, I'm not gonna deny that the AD carry role is. I agree that it is probably the most close or the most stacked. But I still think there's there's also a lot of times I see people say he got all the resources, he carried SK to playoffs, but he got all the resources. I mean, sure, but I did bring wins, right? And I guess that's what matters in the end. Of course, I'm not gonna say I was like a perfect player, didn't make mistakes, but in the end, I got my team the victories, right? We did go up 4 places, from 9th place to 5th place in regular season, and that's pretty much it, I guess.
Right. One of the things that ties in with that, if you're worried that people think they have to only play around you and give you resources, is obviously another reason why what you're saying, it's hard to separate yourself from the pack in terms of just the eye test for a fan, is at times this year, also it wasn't like hard carry, AD carry meta. It was like saying there's like a fucking supporting champ, isn't it? So in those scenarios, I noticed this happened throughout the league. Here's the best example. So obviously the 10th place AD carry at the end of summer was upset. Now, anyone I know who's an expert in League of Legends is going to tell you, listen, maybe he's not the best, but he's a very good AD carry. There's a reason why, we won't say who now, because obviously it might be official, but he's got some fucking sick offers, and he could have basically been in the best teams in Europe. That's where his offers were. So do you also think AD carry was a role where essentially people maybe judge a player? Like in your case, they think, maybe you're only the 6th best or something, so does it really matter that you didn't get a spot? Do you think that was a problem?
I mean, for sure. If you look at the way standings were in summer in terms of bot lane strength and team placement, for sure the best AD carriers were not the first ones in their leagues. Mostly. Yes. Nobody in summer would ever say, Ghost is the best AD carry in Korea, and they can say it now afterwards, after his performance, but they would not say it then. So it was just the natural evolution of the role, as I said, because there was a patch that hit that nerfed Aphelios, and Aphelios was the primary one carry where you would be like, okay, you play trash Aphelios, you play to bot, he will take plates, you swap, you take top plates, he's 1k gold ahead, and he will take over the game. That's how we won, 3-4 games. For that, it was not it was just very straightforward, right? You would play bot because the champion had tools to be played around, and he would carry on 2 items. Then it got nerfed and the meta shifted. That's why in playoffs we played Jinx and lane swapped 1 game. We played Kog'Maw because we tried playing the other style, and we felt like playing Senna doesn't fit our team style, so we tried to play stuff into it. We did have better results in scrims. I guess we just mis-executed on stage, right? Because most of the players that were on our team never played in the Season 6 lane swap style, right? Lane swap meta. That was for sure a reason that I think the AD carry perception is skewed, because the role was for sure not the primary carry in summer. At points, for sure it was. When Aphelios was extremely strong and as well Devs Dance, they could completely carry games alone, and that's what happened, right? A lot of people did. I had a lot of carry performances as well, and a lot of other EU players did. But then the meta slowly started shifting to top lane carries and more jungle carry champions like Hecarim, Lilia, and top lane carries like Camille. And bottom was pretty much Ashe Senna every game, and the bot lane's role was to just be there and provide utility, and the support was playing stuff like Pantheon and Leona and trying to create reverse skirmishes and stuff. For sure it hurt the perception of AD carries, right? I mean hurt, I won't say hurt, it just changed. It changed their role, which means certain types of players are less effective, right?
Sure.
Or certain teams.
So obviously you've been in playoffs a couple of times, but the problem is you got bounced super early. So what do you think in that regard? What was the experience like? Is it different than playing a playoff series than just playing the best of ones?
I mean, for sure. The first one where we made playoffs was spring 2019, right? And I think we could have beaten. I think it was we could have at least won 5 games. I think we could have beaten, but I guess we just weren't very experienced at that point. But for sure, it's much different because you have I don't know, 2 weeks, let's say 2 weeks to prepare for one team, as opposed to just preparing for two teams per week. And you can study a team very in depth and find their weaknesses and all of this. So for sure, it's much different. And that's why I want to like experience it as much as possible, right? Because that feels like it's real league where you are tested pretty much on your champion pool extremely hard, and if you go 5 games, then both teams know pretty much, all they can know about the other team, and then it's just about who's better, right, on the day. So,
assuming the off season continues as it has now, if you don't have an LEC or LCS offer, do you just go and are you going to be an ERL player? Do you have any idea what the future is?
I mean, my plan for now is to probably go Korea and train in playing solo queue and get high rated there, and play against the players I always want to play against. So that's the plan for now. Nothing is like for sure set in stone, but that's what I would say the plan right now is.
That sounds obviously like you're still motivated. You want to try and like just know that you're in shape and people can know you're good. Would it be a big blow if you had to play in the like EU Masters / ERL level again for a split or a season?
I mean, like I think that I'm better than that, right? And that's why I think it would be better for me to just play in solo queue, and also in ERL. I can't fully control what roster I'm against or what happens. So I feel like the better thing to do is to just play solo queue and perform well there, and then just wait for either middle of spring or summer or whatever. But I'm for sure still confident in myself, right? And I'm 100% sure I will be on a team that I will be back. Yeah.
Right, being as one thing we do know now is that Limit's not going to be on SK, and I can't remember if it was official yet or if it was just rumor. But he's going to go to Schalke.
It's official now, yeah. It's
right.
Official.
Okay. What was it like to play with him? What was he like as a player, and what do you think of going to Schalke?
I mean, we for sure at the start we had a lot of. I guess it happens with a lot of bot lanes. There was like no trust and stuff, and but over time, I think I was pretty much closest with him out of all of my teammates. And the flow of communication was very open. We could just discuss stuff openly and be like, "Oh no, you messed up here, or you messed up here," and then in a few minutes everything would be fine. So I think they will do well. I can imagine from the lineup I think they will have, they might play more to the other side of the map. So that might be interesting to see how he plays in that team, right? But he did already play with Gilius before, so they for sure have some, that's for sure a plus, because they know each other and they like playing with each other from before. But I think he'll do well. I also think there's a lot of rookies rumored rookies next year in LEC. So I think for sure he has stuff that the other new players don't, and I think he'll do well, and I think Schalke will do well, for sure.
Obviously, every year, it's part of how you got in LEC, people have been more and more and more gambling on the rookies from the RLs. Yeah. And certainly, there are always some that are really, really good among the best players, as we saw with Rogue Mad Lions. And there's also, there's always some that surprise you as well. But I also feel like there's an element, I might make a video on this topic separately, where I feel like people have gone too far the other way now, when it's the default now. Unless you can get the absolute best player at his role, you just gamble. You think of it like a lottery ticket. It's like, fuck, maybe I could get the next Caps, even though, listen, there's not going to be the next Caps. It's more like, get the next, fucking Kazi. That's reasonable. It's a very good player. So the problem I have in that scenario is, basically, I think that some of these teams are both gambling, like maybe I can get a better player, but they're not certain. And also, I'm also worried that some of them do it just because that rookie might take a cheaper deal. Whereas, I think you're a perfect example of this. I think probably Febevin is, if I saw that he didn't get the offers. You're both clearly quality players who play off-level players, but we're not, again, I'm not making it sound like earlier before you asked for a massive amount of money, but you want a reasonable salary. Yeah, you're not going to take the lowest deal in the whole world, are you?
Yeah, I think that is a reason as well. Yeah, and there's also, I guess, when you do take rookies, you also drive the narrative. Oh, Europe always develops rookies so much, and We always get so many rookies in and rookie talent, and for sure, I think it is good to a certain degree. But I think, there's no reason like why someone who already played would be worse than a total rookie. I think it's on a player-to-player basis. You can't just generalize rookie, veteran. Like these words are very weird.
Yes,
anyway,
sure.
I think to use it's just a good player, bad player in my opinion, or like good or there's also the buzzword potential, right? That people like
Of course,
to use. On every new rookie roster, people have players they like on the roster. Oh, this roster has a lot of potential, and if every single rookie that ever comes into LEC has potential, then either everybody is just insanely talented, which is statistically unlikely.
Yes, of course.
Or just people like to use the word because it's a good way to hype new players.
Yeah,
I suppose.
sure.
Which is understandable, right? There
course,
need to be narratives and stuff that drives the fans. Yeah.
Because here's the thing, right? People are going to think I asked that question just so you could obviously say, it can't just be rookies. But I've even got a way that we can make it a reasonable question that you can answer that doesn't look like you're just trying to say everyone should sign me. It goes like this. Like, one of the things I've noticed is, even if the rookie is really good, you know what, you can even take my boy Kazi for this, where at one point he looked like the best AD carry, but at Worlds, he looked far from the best AD carry, because you know what, he's still pretty young in his career. Like, what about when you first came in the LEC? I'm sure in your first year, there was tons of things that were different from what you know about the game now, how to play, how to practice, everything, right?
I mean, it's just... when you come in, I mean, I know how it was for me. It was everything was like, wow, I need to listen to my coach fully. Or he's, or like, I'm not saying I don't listen to my coach, right? But everything feels so new, and you're like very like in a new place, and everything seems so different from before. But then you realize that you're still playing the same game you played before, just at a different level. And I mean, I think I realize now in summer is that. Innovating is very important, right? We were like the team that was first. I don't know. We played like Twitch Yumi when nobody played it, and then people called it cheese, and then Twitch actually started being meta at Words Planes, and we played some different stuff, that our teams didn't do. And I think when you first come in, you're a bit more scared, I guess, to look bad on stage or to play stuff that doesn't work. But then when you play more games, even though I wouldn't say I played that many games in LEC anyway, because there's 18 games per split,
Yes.
And if I didn't even make playoffs for some of them, I don't even play that much, but still obviously there's a difference. For sure there is a big difference, between, I mean, at least for me, between my first year and my second year. I would for sure say I was not a leader last year. I was not willing to lead my team and to make decisions. Especially not first split, but now in summer I was the leader. I was leading a lot of discussions and draft and in-game shot calling. Early game was mostly trick, but after that was me and him. So for sure, there is a big difference for me personally.
Right, at the end of this interview, do you have a final message to leave people? Would you want to say hello or thank anyone?
I mean, I'd for sure like to thank all the fans, right, for all their support. Even though I won't be playing, the fan support and the messages have been pretty much massive. And I'd like to tell everyone that I'll be back for sure, and I hope you keep following me.
This video was kindly supported by Pronogo, Mohammed, Alabdul, Razzaq, Dean Tanglis, James Pederson, VatriSam, ErikHillestad, Andreas Kroknes, Hades, Zoomba Gaming, JDubs, Tobias Bernasconi, and Alexander Rao. Special thanks, as always, goes out to Jerky's Minion. Would you like to suggest a topic or a guest for one of my upcoming episodes? Maybe you want to ask more of those questions in that video AMA I do each month. Do you want teasers? Find out who the next guests are for my shows. Well, maybe you even want to take part in one of those crazy donated discussions where we go all over the place. If any of these perks appeal to you, or you want to support the channel, put your money where your mouth is and join the Illuminati today at the Patreon link in the description box below.